All right, let's dive right into a topic that is absolutely critical for any business right now. How do you get your team to truly, effectively harness the power of AI? Because let's be real, this isn't some far-off future idea anymore. It's here and it's happening today.
So, the first thing we really have to ask ourselves is this: is your team ready? Not just ready to kind of keep up with the AI revolution, but are they ready to actually lead it? That's the real challenge, and it's what we're going to break down.
You know, the reality is, understanding how to use AI is becoming as basic as knowing how to send an email or use a spreadsheet. It's completely shifted from being a nice-to-have skill to an absolute strategic necessity if you want to stay in the game.
Okay, so first up, the AI imperative. Let's really dig into why this kind of training is so incredibly urgent right now.
So what's the end game here? Well, the goal is to take your team from just being kind of interested in AI, AI curious, to being genuinely AI capable. That's the huge leap between just knowing about it and being able to confidently and actively use it.
Next, we've got to build the foundation, and that foundation is AI literacy. Because think about it, before you can master any tool, you first have to understand the basic principles of how it works.
First things first, we have to pull back the curtain and demystify AI for everybody. It's not the thinking, feeling, sci-fi stuff you see in movies. At its heart, AI is basically a super powerful engine for finding patterns and making predictions based on a whole lot of data. That's it. No magic.
And it's so important to make this next distinction. The AI we have and use today, that's what we call narrow AI. It's fantastic at specific tasks, like, say, drafting an email for you. That general AI from the movies, the one that thinks just like a human, well, it doesn't exist yet, and managing that expectation is key.
And since data is the fuel that makes the whole AI engine run, data literacy is completely non-negotiable. Your team has to get that. The quality of what comes out depends entirely on the quality of what goes in. It's that simple. You put biased data in, you're going to get biased AI out.
Okay, so with that foundation in place, we can finally move from the why to the how. Now we're going to get our hands dirty. This part is all about the actual tools and, just as important, the critical thinking you need to use them the right way. Yeah, you're probably hearing these names everywhere, and there's a good reason for it. For most companies, this is where the training really begins. These platforms are easy to get started with, they're super versatile, and they can offer real value pretty much right away in almost any department.
But, getting great results from these tools is a skill. We call it prompt engineering, and it really comes down to these 4 steps. You have to be super specific in what you ask for. Give it some background and context. Don't be afraid to try a few different prompts, and, this is the big one, always fact-check what it gives you.
The uses for these tools are practically endless, and this is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Your marketing team can use AI to brainstorm content. HR can use it to help with recruiting. Finance can use it for spotting fraud. The secret is to tailor the training to solve the real day-to-day problems that each role faces.
Using AI well is as much about knowing its limits as it is about knowing its strengths. We have to train our teams to be healthy skeptics, to be able to spot potential bias, to double-check the facts, to avoid those weird hallucinations where the AI just makes stuff up, and to always be thinking about data privacy and security.
So we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of implementation. How do we design training that actually sinks in, that people actually use, and that creates real, lasting change?
The best training is active, not passive. So forget about long, boring lectures. You want to think more about interactive workshops where people solve actual problems, peer learning programs led by your own internal champions, and rolling things out gradually so you don't overwhelm everybody.
Now, of course, rolling this out isn't always a walk in the park, and the challenges you'll face are pretty consistent. You're almost guaranteed to deal with resistance to change, a wide range of skill levels on your team, and just the crazy fast pace of the technology itself. Knowing these are coming is half the battle.
One of the absolute biggest hurdles you'll face is fear. The fear of being replaced. And that's why how you frame this is so critical. You have to constantly communicate that AI is a tool to augment what your people can do, not to replace them. It's about freeing up your team for more strategic, more valuable work. And finally, let's talk about making this all last. A one-time workshop just isn't going to cut it. If you really want to succeed, you have to build AI proficiency right into the DNA of your company culture.
This is a massive mindset shift. We have to stop looking at training as an event with a start date and an end date. This is the beginning of a continuous journey, a journey of learning, of adapting, and of improving right alongside the technology as it evolves.
So how do you actually build this kind of culture? You make it part of the daily routine. Encourage people to play around and experiment with new tools. Create places, maybe a Slack channel, for people to share what's working. Even simple things like informal lunch and learns can be incredibly powerful.
Ultimately, this all boils down to creating a safe environment, a place where your team feels like they can experiment, where they can try new things and know that it's okay if it doesn't work out perfectly the first time. When you start valuing the lessons you get from mistakes, that's when you really start to innovate.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The transformation is coming. That's a guarantee. The only real question left is, what role is your organization going to play? Are you going to be reacting to the change, or are you going to empower your team with the skills and the culture to get out in front and actually lead it? The choice is yours.